Hello, everybody. It looks like everybody is filing into the room right now. Oh, whoops. There we go. Hello, everybody. It looks like everybody's filing into the room. Thank you so much for joining us today for Creative Ways to Pay for College. My name's Alex Granados. I'm an Associate Director of Communications at the North Carolina State Education Association. We work very closely with College for North Carolina and with College Foundation Incorporated. With me here today, and the real stars of the show are Juana Hernandez Lira and Juanes Ramirez. They're going to be kind of your hosts, moderators for today. They're going to take things over in a few minutes. And they are Associate Outreach Directors with CFI. And then we have Brenda Valdez, who's also an Associate Outreach Director with CFI. She's going to be helping field some questions in the background. Speaking of questions, if you're new to webinars, there is a function down near the bottom of your screen that says Q&A. That's where you can put in questions throughout the chat. I think the plan is we're not going to take questions as they come in, but we're probably going to take a break or two to answer questions. So go ahead and drop your questions in there, and we'll take some opportunities during the webinar to answer those. And I think that covers everything for me. So I'm going to turn you over into the capable hands of Juana.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to spend this lovely cold night with you all. Thank you again for joining this webinar, Creative Ways to Pay for College. This webinar is designed to help students who may not qualify or may not be eligible to receive financial aid via the FAFSA. And so we created this webinar with the goal of helping you navigate and explore various options and explore different creative options and creative ways to break through the financial barriers to college to make paying for higher education more manageable. So a little bit about what tonight is going to look like, or this next hour is going to look like. We'll talk a little bit about CFNC and how CFNC can help you with your college and career planning. We'll go into financial aid eligibility, particularly as it pertains to the FAFSA. And then we'll jump into talking about alternative ways to pay for college. And we'll end with talking about how we can maximize opportunities while minimizing costs while we are in high school. A little bit about CFNC for those of you that may be new, maybe this is your first time joining us, maybe this is your first time learning about CFNC. Just wanted to share a little bit about CFNC and what we do. CFNC is a free resource for the state of North Carolina, and the main goal is to help students and families with planning, applying, and paying for college. We have a comprehensive website. It really is a one-stop shop for students that have questions about college planning or career planning. So we have a website, we have a toll-free number, but all of the resources and information that we have available is possible through a partnership that we have with our different partners or different entities, which include the 16 UNC system schools or the University of North Carolina, College Foundation Incorporated, the 58 community colleges, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, the 36 private institutions or the 36 NC independent colleges and universities, and the State Education Assistance Authority, which are the main sponsors for CFNC, and they administer the state grants and scholarships. A little bit more about CFNC. As I mentioned, we really are a one-stop shop to help you with your college career planning. On CFNC, you can find information on how to plan for college. You can plan for a career. We partner with NC Careers to help students with career planning. So we welcome you to explore that as well. We also have a college search, so you can explore all the colleges in all the colleges and universities here in North Carolina by visiting CFNC. You can also apply to the colleges and universities through CFNC. Many of the colleges and universities you can apply through our website. You can request your transcript. And something important that all seniors need to know is that you need to submit your NC residency, and you do that through CFNC and RDS. And so it's pretty much the same account for CFNC and RDS. So we encourage all students to open up an account so that when you are a senior, you're ready to submit that NC residency determination. And we will be talking more about this. We also have a annual campaign or year-long campaign, NC Countdown to College, to help students with their college planning journey. We have a lot of information on paying for college, and today that's going to be what we're going to be focusing on, right? Just different creative ways to pay for college. But we do have information on the FAFSA. We have a scholarship search on our website, and then lastly, there's information to for parents or folks that are interested in saving for college through our NC 529 Education Savings Plan. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about the FAFSA and a little bit about FAFSA and eligibility. We realize that not all students are eligible to complete a FAFSA, or not all students are eligible to receive financial aid via the FAFSA. And so my colleague, Dr. Ramirez, is going to be sharing a little bit of the eligibility requirements, and then he'll jump into a little bit about RDS, and then he'll jump into talking about alternative ways to pay for college and other creative ways to pay for college. So I'll hand it over to Juanes.
Thank you very much, Juan, and thank you to all of you for being here tonight. Our goal is really for you to take at least one thing that you can take away from this conversation that can be actionable, that you can actually do things with it. So we're gonna give you different creative ways to think about how to pay for education, different ways for us to be able to afford education. But we do have to understand the system that we currently have. So let's talk about financial aid eligibility a little bit. So my colleague Juana was talking about the free application for federal student aid that we know as the FAFSA application. And this application is really a way for the colleges and the universities to understand the financial picture of the majority of the students. Again, I'm mentioning the majority of the students because it does not cover all students. Not all students would be able to apply for the FAFSA. Nevertheless, for those students that do are able to qualify for the FAFSA or are able to apply for the FAFSA, we do encourage you to apply for the FAFSA because the FAFSA form is the primary form that the majority of the federal student aid information is used so that they can look for federal grants, they can look for work study opportunities, they can look also for loan options. That's also one of the applications needed for the state grant. So you would need that. And then some institutions also use the FAFSA for institutional funds. Again, that's not everyone's process, but that's the majority. So if you are able to, we recommend that you do apply. And then you can do it through studentaid.gov. Again, remember that you have to renew this application every year and is available after October 1st, 2025 for those seniors. So a little bit about the eligibility, so everybody understands a little bit about the eligibility and kind of what they're looking for. So they're looking for a student that has a need, a financial need, that is enrolled in a program that is acceptable to receive financial aid. And that is really, really important because a lot of students don't start thinking about accreditation until later on. And the reality is that there are some programs that you are not able to receive financial aid for. So you have to be careful in terms of the institution that you're planning to attend. You have to maintain satisfactory academic progress. That means that you just have to continue to be a good student. You have to also sign the form, and you also have to be in a program that can receive that and also be a U.S. citizen or eligible not citizen. So depending on the student, and some students have different immigration status, they might want to take a look at those eligible non-US citizen status that allowed students to be able to apply for federal student aid. This is also the same application that will be introduced later on next year in the summer about the Workforce Pell Grant Program, which is a program that is going to cover short-term programming. So those students that maybe are not necessarily looking for an entire 2-year degree, an associate's degree, or a 4-year degree, but they're looking for something shorter, they have to meet this criteria. And then the state is currently working on those programs that do qualify, because one of the requirements is that the program has to exist, right? So there has to be a program that exists. There has to be a certain criteria that has to be met for those programs to be able to offer financial aid. So we'll see kind of how that goes, but we just wanted to share with you that there will be funding available for those students interested in the shorter term programs. So for students that do not have a Social Security number, what we encourage, unless you are from the freely associated states, or you are the parent or the spouse of the student who is applying for financial aid, you will need to have a Social Security number. So if you are a parent and you don't have a security number, that it's okay. You don't need one, just the student. Okay, so we just wanted to make sure that all students have this information. Let's move into the North Carolina Residency Determination Service, which is the state level opportunity to be able to determine a student is eligible for in-state tuition and state grants and or state grants. So a student may be eligible to receive a discounted tuition to attend one of the colleges in North Carolina. The We have amazing opportunities here in North Carolina, so some students are able to receive that discount. Some students are not, depending on some requirements. So the students will go through the ncresidency.org website. They can use the same login credentials with CFNC. And basically, the student will go through the interview process, and those determinations are made. If the student for some reason feels like the determination they don't agree with, the student has the opportunity right there on the portal to make a reconsideration or appeal that decision. So it's really a comprehensive platform that the student can even submit documentation that way. They also have a call center with counselors there, bilingual counselors. There's also a student local number, so I encourage students to also have this information just in case you have any type of questions. There's also a third party you can add a third person or a person that you trust, that you are able to have conversations about this if you feel like you need that. So that's always a nice feature to have. Um, just wanted to remember that some scholarships are bounded by the FAFSA. So remember, the FAFSA in the residency is required for some of the scholarships, and for this particular one, it is required. So we just wanted to make sure we bring attention to the next NC scholarship. This is a scholarship for students that their home makes below $80,000 a year, and they can have a minimum amount guarantee to attend a public university, whether it's a community college or a UNC system school, and that can help to pay almost the tuition part of that expense, which is great. So we're excited about that scholarship. So now let's talk about other ways that we can pay for college, right? So we want to maximize already what we have available. Let's talk about other ones. Scholarships are always the one that I'm a fan on, especially those scholarships that do not have those restrictions specifically with citizenship or residency, or some sort of limit in terms of income, whether you need to have a certain income threshold. So for middle and upper income families, and also it can be combined. It can be combined up to the cost of attendance. And so that's a really important concept that we all need to be aware about. What is the cost of attendance of college? That way we can make sure we meet that cost of attendance that we have. So scholarships is a great way to do that, especially those scholarships that do not require the FAFSA form. So you can have scholarships based on anything that makes you different, beautiful, talented. You can have based on your interests. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a dancer. I want to be a painter. Any talent or special skill that you have, any type of ability, your GPA. You're a great singer. You are an athlete. Career or major. I want to be in medicine again. Any type of career or major of interest. I want to be work with animals. So there are organizations there that are willing to assist the student just because they want to pursue that particular program or degree. There's some scholarships based on the community service that the student has provided. So the student actually has to document those service hours. Sometimes it is attached to need-based, but sometimes it is based on those specific requirements. It also can be based on any type of identity or background that makes us all different and unique. Special ability, for example, people make there's scholarships for having for writing with your left hand. There's scholarships for liking specific product. So there's all kinds of scholarships for all kinds of different things, but we're trying to maximize what we already trying to do in terms of career and college. So non-restricted scholarships are amazing, and this is perhaps a new language for some students. Maybe for some other students is not. We love non-restricted scholarships for those organizations and funders that have scholarships. We always are asking for non-restricted scholarships. So these are scholarships that do not require necessarily some sort of document in terms of eligibility. Maybe they have alternative ways to determine financial need. Maybe they don't necessarily need the FAFSA as the primary factor. They might have other factors that they're considering. For example, some colleges using the CSS profile through College Board to determine their financial need. Some of them are determining their own need based on their own forms. So we're thinking about those scholarships also that nonprofits and community foundations can provide us. Institutional scholarships. So these are scholarships coming directly from the institution. They can be guarantees automatically based on enrollment, based on the GPA of the student. They might be looking at GPA, they might be looking at SAT scores, ACT scores, or some other factors that the student has put in the application. So some of these programs are automatic, where the student will automatically receive some sort of scholarship. That was my case. As a student, I was admitted, and based on my grades and my scores, I was provided guarantee for the 4 years that I was going to be in that particular institution. Now you do have to check based on institution and institution kind of what that policy is. Is this something automatic? Is it something that I have to apply for? Is it something that you might need to FAFSA? Is it something that you might need another additional form that if I don't qualify for FAFSA, can you find my financial need through other forms? So these are great questions to start thinking about, and we want you to think about your questions. Write them in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling about this conversation. Let us know what questions you have so far. So we start touching base on organization, foundations, and businesses. So it's really, really important to know that we have foundations already established in North Carolina where you can send one application and they will match you with different funders or different funding that they have available for those students based on certain criteria. So it depends of where you're located in the state, depends of the type of foundation that we might be looking for. For example, in the western side of the state, we have the Western Community Foundation. Then in the middle of the state, we have the Triangle Community Foundation. We also have the North Carolina Community Foundation, and then we have some other foundations and funders that assist and help support students in their journey to accomplish their secondary, post-secondary education goals. Again, think about those employer programs, statewide employer programs. The one that always comes to my mind for some reason, I was having a conversation with a student uh, giving me a cup of coffee from one of the cup of coffee providers. And one of the coffee providers mentioned that they were assisting with their tuition for their students for a particular school in a particular county. So I was very impressed that they had those type of agreements again. And then let's don't forget about those national databases and companies that also have. So we are sharing some here on the screen. This is a grade one starting point for this, but I do know that students are looking for scholarships through their counselor. So again, asking counselors for student scholarships that do not require maybe social security numbers, or maybe that they don't require the FAFSA, or maybe that they don't have a stipulation that maybe keeps you away from applying to financial aid through FAFSA, or maybe that you are applying through FAFSA, but you're also looking for other ways to be able to make your college experience more affordable because it is costly, right? So the one thing I do want to mention with scholarships here is just be careful with scholarships. If you submit your information, just make sure you are submitting your information to a worthy resource, that they're not charging you um, to apply or guarantee anything on your behalf, because scholarships usually are not that way. They're not really guaranteeing you anything on behalf, or all students are applying through application, and based on the criteria, they're making that selection. Um, so these are some other examples of some scholarships. So we have some scholarships that are statewide. For example, the North Carolina Society of Hispanic Professionals. They have a very specific mission. And so that's where we were talking about identity and background. That, for example, the mission of the North Carolina Society of Hispanic Professionals, it is for more Hispanic professionals in North Carolina, right? You have scholarships, for example, as the Dream US, that they're looking specifically more to students that do not qualify for financial aid, federal or state, for whatever reason. And so they're looking at partnerships with specific colleges to assist with that. And then just depending of kind of what we're looking for, we're gonna find scholarships geared towards that. Maybe I'm thinking about STEM. STEM is the area that I want to explore a little bit more. Then there would be scholarships based on that. The Golden Door is always one that I'm always very impressed. So if you have not checked Golden Door, just check Golden Door and see kind of what that criteria is. They also sometimes can provide those funds through continuing education, depending on what the financial aid officer at the college has available there. And so they have some funding for that. The North Carolina Community College exceptions, so the North Carolina Community exceptions, they are able to waive a student, for example, that does not qualify for in-state tuition. They might be able to waive that through one of the exceptions. Now, the thing with the exceptions that we have found out is that it's very specific to the college. So they have their own process um, of doing that, but they are exceptions based on a business. So a student that works on behalf of a business can receive an exception. There's a nonprofit. There's one for other types of categories of students in different statuses. Professional judgment, we do want to mention this as an alternative way. And professional judgment is basically the opportunity for the financial aid advisors at the different colleges and universities located in North Carolina to review the financial circumstance of the student and really have a conversation about what can they do to support that student. So this is really good, especially if circumstances in the home have changed um, that had affected the ability of the family to pay for college. Maybe the parent does not qualify for, maybe my parent does not qualify for a loan for whatever reason. So that's a detail that the financial aid advisor can consider so that maybe they can help the student raise other levels of financial aid needed to reach that goal that the student has. So this is a very powerful tool. We have on CFNC, we have a financial aid office contact where you can literally select the person in the different schools throughout North Carolina, and it will give them a contact and name and email, and you can talk to them. So what we encourage is the college and university that you're most interest, that you have most interest, that you contact them as your people, or whoever you feel more comfortable. All financial aid offices should be able to help you. It does not matter your circumstance; they should be able to guide you to a next step. Tuition reimbursement programs, we started mentioning a little bit about this, but let's think about if we are working or maybe our parents are working, what programs do they have through their human resources, maybe through their employer relation programs? We'll be surprised. We have actually in my local area, we have a factory. It's literally a factory, and they provide $5,000 to every employee student or a student of an employee, and that covers the tuition for the student for that particular semester. So things like that can be really helpful. Sometimes you might find, and I have seen this maybe in hospitals or healthcare where maybe they are willing to help the student to pay for a certain certification that they might need. So think about also that maybe they're not necessarily paying, but they might be paying for a certification that you need, which is still paying for the education that you need. So we still talk about college, the same thing. The additional creative strategies, and I left this here because I think we need to talk a little bit more about this. One of them is online education and satellite campuses. So some colleges and universities, they may have a location close by, but really you're not really enjoying the same benefits that you would on main campus. So some colleges, they call that distance learning, online learning, and they have different rates. So the rates might be different for students to consider. So in case a student might be looking for still that, I still want a degree from that school, but I don't want to live there, consider maybe satellite campus and online education. Schools also have payment plans where you can actually divide the payment that you have in that month or in that semester in certain amount of payments. You pay upfront a fee. And for example, in my case, it was like $50, $60, something along those lines. It changes, but it's around, something like that. And it just gave me more time to be able to afford paying the remaining of what I needed in case. The last option is a loan program. So again, the federal government will offer loans if the student needs. The student is able to select whether they want it or not. So the student has full control. We recommend students talk to families. But also there are some other loan programs to third parties. They might have more lenient requirements. Maybe you can have a co-signer, so maybe or maybe you are able to do like a release of a signer after so many years. So there are some loan programs out there that can also help. We do consider this as a last option for students because remember that you do have to pay interest in those loans. And so we just want to be mindful that that's an option as well. All right, Juana, so let's move us into maximizing opportunities and minimizing that cost of college after talking about some alternative ways.
Yeah, sure. And when you were talking about loans, I thought about our forgivable education loans for service. Those are really great opportunities too for students that are going into specific fields like education, nursing, allied health, and medicine. And so if you go to cfnc.org/FELS, you can check out all the eligible programs. You can check out the eligibility requirements, but it's basically a loan that can be forgiven if you graduate in an approved program and if you work in North Carolina. So it's definitely a really great opportunity for students to help cover that cost. So yeah, thank you for all that great information, Dr. Ramirez. So let's just move on now to talking about how to minimize opportunities to maximize opportunities, excuse me, to minimize the overall college cost. And so this is going to be a lot of information geared more towards students that might be in high school now. And if you've already graduated high school and you're thinking of going to college, this can also be very beneficial to you. But when we're thinking about maximizing opportunities, we want to encourage students to explore earning college credits while they are in high school. And so the reason for this is because we want students to take advantage of being able to take these classes for free. Most of the time, they don't have to pay anything. They may have to pay for books, but the classes themselves are free as long as they are dually enrolled. And as long as as long as they're dually enrolled. But there are different ways, different opportunities that students can earn college credit while they're in high school. And so some of those opportunities include advanced placement or AP courses, taking the course and taking the exam and getting a score. Getting a score that will allow you to get college credit is one way. Another way is through the International Baccalaureate courses or programs that are available at some of the schools. Not every school has these opportunities available. Majority of them have AP courses. Not all of them have the IB programs, but it is definitely another way to take these courses. And I talked about dual enrollment. And so North Carolina here has the Career and College Promise dual enrollment program that allows high school students to earn college credits tuition free while they are earning their high school diploma. And so students that take advantage of this can graduate with several college credits. I've seen students that have earned over a semester of college credits, and so they really do take full advantage of these courses. There's also early college. And so with early college, students do have to apply to early college while they're in middle school, their eighth grade year of middle school. So if you're a parent and listening in and you have a middle school student, early college can be a great opportunity for your student to earn a high school diploma and earn an associate's degree for free at an early college. And so it does take a little bit longer to earn that high school diploma, but students will be killing two birds with one stone through early college. There's also middle college. So middle college is a little different from the early college because, as I mentioned, with early college, you do have to apply in the eighth grade, but with middle college, you can actually apply for it while you are in high school. And so not all counties or all communities offer or have middle colleges. And so it's important to check with your school counselor, to check with your local community college to see if they offer this. So a 2-year degree is not guaranteed at at a middle college, but students can earn college credits while they are attending an early college. Another option is to think about career and technical education courses while you're in high school. And so right now, DPI has a big initiative and getting students to earn credentials while they are in high school, and doing this is possible through CTE. So I have talked to students who have earned their CNA certifications while they've been in high school. I've had students that have earned all types of certifications while they're in high school, and they actually is helping them to go into the workforce while they're working, excuse me, while they're in high school, while they're getting ready to go to college. So it helps them work, gain skills, network, and also save money for college. So these are just some, again, opportunities if you're a high school student, ways for you to maximize your time in high school. Some other things to consider are maybe you've seen if there are opportunities for you to do an internship at the high school or in college. Most of the internships are short-term professional experiences in various career fields, and usually they're part-time and usually they are unpaid. Although you might run across a paid internship, but most of the time they're unpaid. And even if it's unpaid, you just got to think about the overall benefits of an internship. And this can be networking, this can be gaining experience, building your resume, and sometimes some of these employers or professional career fields may be able to offer you a job after the internship. Another way that I've seen a lot of students take advantage of the opportunities is through apprenticeship. An apprenticeship basically is an opportunity that combines on-the-job learning with related classroom instruction. So it allows students to earn college credit while they are working in a highly skilled trade. And so there is a website. It's Apprenticeship NC, where you can actually go in and check out all the different apprenticeship programs. And so you can begin doing an apprenticeship as early as 16 years old. And they also have the youth apprenticeship programs, and they have over 1,200 occupations available for those that might be interested. And so you can actually, again, do an apprenticeship. You're earning money. You're getting college credits. And so some examples could be areas such as automotive service, healthcare, IT. Some examples also are there's a partnership with Randolph Community College. With apprenticeship Randolph, there's a Caterpillar Youth Apprenticeship in Sanford, and there's a Seed Apprenticeship, and so there's a lot of different apprenticeship programs that you can do if that's something that you're interested in doing. And again, it saves money for college. You pretty much get your college paid for, and you get paid to work. There's also an opportunity to get sponsored through a company or an organization or even a nonprofit that may be able to pay for your education. So if you're working for an employer right now, maybe you can ask if there's an opportunity to sponsor. Juan has talked about, Dr. Ramirez talked about some of the opportunities that the community college system offers with sponsorships, but this would be different because it's a little different because this would be for any student who might be working for an employer, and maybe the employer is willing to pay for their tuition, right? Whether they're residents or non-residents. Another option that we can think about as far as like how do we save money for college? How can I maximize my time? Is think about taking a college level exam. And there are different ways or options for you to do this. So the College Board has a program called College Level Examination Program that allows students to take an exam in an area that they feel very comfortable or confident in, and possibly earn college credits. So if you go to the College Board and you click CLEP, you will find information on all the opportunities there. So they have over 30 subjects that you can test on, and there is a fee to take the test. There, sometimes you are able to get a waiver. Sometimes they have discounts on the test, but there is a fee for the test, and I want to say it's around $80 to $90, and it does come out to be more affordable than when you go to college, right? So if there is a subject that you have excelled in and you feel really comfortable in, I encourage you to take an exam in that subject. And as long as you pass it, you could earn college credit that can transfer to the institution that you want to attend. Some other online programs include Modern State. So Modern State is very popular. It actually helps students earn up to a year of free college credits. And the way that they do this is they offer free college preparation or free preparation for the CLEP exams, and they actually will pay students. They will actually pay for the CLEP exam. So it's pretty much free. Space is limited, so it's important that you check out their website. It's important that you look at the requirements and see when their applications open or when their program opens for you to apply because space is limited. Other online programs include Straighter Line and Sophia Learning. So these two were actually recommended to us by our colleague at SEAA, and so it's pretty much an opportunity or a platform for students to earn college credits online. And so again, there is a fee for these credits or for these programs, but you are saving more money. You're saving more money than if you were to take them in person at a college and institution. So one thing to keep in mind with these college level exams or with these online programs is that it's really important that you are checking with the individual college. So if you know a college you want to go to, you already know which college you want to attend and where you want to transfer your credits to. It's very important that you check the policies and rules on college credit acceptances, making sure that the credits or the classes that you're taking or the exams that you're taking are actually going to transfer to that institution or to that university. And from what I have seen, many colleges or most colleges and universities, they do a really good job at including which credits are transferable. But again, you just want to double check because I would hate for you to take an exam or have to pay to take some classes online and then they're not transferable. So just a tip there. Other things to consider or programs to consider are transfer programs. We'll be talking about that in more detail in addition to the NC Promise programs and workforce training or certifications at the North Carolina community colleges. So first we can talk about the NC Promise program, which is an initiative of the state of North Carolina to help make college more affordable for students here in the state. And so they've selected 4 institutions that are offering reduced tuition. So if you are considered a North Carolina resident per the NC Residency Determination Service, RDS, then tuition would be $500 per semester at any of these 4 institutions here. So I've also added some orange dots on the map so you can kind of see where they're located to kind of give you an idea of where they are. But those institutions are Elizabeth City State University, UNC Pembroke, Fayetteville State University, and Western Carolina University. Now, if you are a student who is not considered a North Carolina resident per RDS, then you're still eligible to participate in this program, but tuition will be $2,500 per semester versus $500, right? So although that tuition is a little bit more elevated than the $500, I do want to mention that it is one of the more affordable options when it comes to attending college. It's even more affordable than going to the community college, especially if you're able to commute to the campus and take your courses, right? So again, just wanted to mention there that this is a really great opportunity for students. So one thing to keep in mind also is that the $500 per semester is only for tuition. So that doesn't include room and board, it doesn't include student fees, it doesn't include indirect cost. So we have to look at all of that before we have to look at all the options before we make a decision whether or not that's the best option for us. So especially if it's further away, you'll have to think about room and board, or if you're nearby, that you might be able to save more money if you're able to commute to those schools. There are also some transfer programs. So if you always tell students that community college have something for every single student. I'm a big fan of community colleges. And one of the the things that I like to talk to students about is transfer programs, particularly guaranteed transfer and co-admissions programs. And so I'm going to be focusing on this one, but there are different transfer programs that you can check out on CFNC. But most of the North Carolina's public institutions, four-year institutions, and private institutions have transfer agreements with the 58 North Carolina community colleges. And so there are specific agreements between these institutions that allow an easy transfer between the two colleges. And so if you check out CFNC's website, we do have a list of all of the schools that are participating in guaranteed transfer and co-admissions programs, and I've highlighted a few of them here on the website. So if you're a student who maybe wants to go to NC State, there's the C3 program. You started the community college, you apply for the C3 program, and so you have guaranteed transfer to NC State. Or if you want to go to UNC Chapel Hill, there's the C-STEP program. You apply for, you go to the community college, you apply for the C-STEP program, and then once you're done with your 2-year, your associates, then you transfer over to UNC. Some of the private institutions also have those programs like Methodist University, Wingate. So you just want to check with your colleges, your universities to see what programs are available, what options are available. And students really do truly save a lot of money when they transfer. And so that's one of the main reasons also why students decide to transfer, do one of the transfer programs. So as I mentioned, CFNC, we have some really great tools on how to help students with transferring or students that are interested in transferring. We have a transfer checklist available on CFNC that can be very helpful for you all. So I invite you to visit our website and check out some of the resources that we have there. And then lastly, workforce training or certification at a North Carolina community college is another really, really great way for students to earn a certification in a very affordable manner. And so it's one of the more affordable options. And depending on the situation of the student or even the goals of the student, this can definitely be a really great opportunity. So with workforce programs, they are short-term, non-credit classes that are designed to help students earn job skills or industry certifications. And these are typically offered at the community colleges. I'm a big fan of workforce program or certification because they require, excuse me, their requirements and processes are not they're more lenient or easier. And so there's more flexibility, they're more affordable than degree programs. And so, for example, some of these certifications do not look at residency. So they're not going to require students to complete the NC residency determination. And so it doesn't matter whether you're in state or out of state, it's going to be the same fee for you to take that certification. And some of these programs or colleges, they offer scholarships specific for some of these programs. And my colleague, Dr. Ramirez, mentioned that there might be some FAFSA funding available for some workforce programs later. So this is a really great opportunity, especially if you're a student who knows you want to go to college, but you don't want to go to college for a long time. You just you're ready to go into the workforce, but you know you want some college background. This is another really great way to go to college, get a certification, go into the workforce. And there are many, many type of programs that people can do. There's Google IT support, there's healthcare like pharmacy technician, nurse aide. There's also skilled trades like welding, diesel mechanics. So there really is a wide range of opportunities. And I will just encourage you to check with your local community college to see what programs are being offered, what scholarships are being offered for these programs. And so, again, these are just some ideas, some tips, some opportunities that you all can explore. And we really hope that this information has been helpful for you. We have many more webinars coming up. We have some really cool webinars coming up in the next couple of months here with CFNC. And so we invite you to visit our CFNC page, especially cfnc.org/events, to sign up for our other webinars. As we were talking tonight, was just focused on what are some creative ways, what are some things that we can do to to make college more affordable, right? Especially where students that don't qualify for FAFSA or don't qualify for any of the financial aid via the FAFSA. So I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Ramirez, who's going to close us off, and then we'll look at any questions that might be pending.
Okay, so this is the time that we thank Juana and the rest of the team for taking the time. We also going to do a quick summary, and then after the summary, we're going to stop the recording, and Juana and I and the rest of the team is going to stay to answer your specific questions. So we just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be here. We started talking about CFNC and all the services that CFNC offers. So we want you to take advantage of those services, whether it's planning for college, applying for college, paying for college. There's a lot of options for everybody. We started working through financial aid eligibility and kind of what that means. That means that not everyone qualifies to apply. So whether we do encourage students that do qualify to apply. Whether you think your income is too high or whether you think you may not qualify. For those students, they may have a specific immigration status or may not have an immigration status. We do encourage to work directly with the financial aid office to learn about those processes. We learn about FAFSA that is used as a form for colleges and universities to understand the financial picture of your family. You don't have to accept anything that you don't want to. So it's up to you to make that decision. We talked about NC residency and what that is important because some students will qualify for automatic um, funding from the state and federal government to be able to afford college. We talked about scholarships and all the different ways that cannot be restricted. So, ways of being non-restricted. So maybe if you're talking to a funder, what are those non-restricted funds that you have? And maybe they do ask for a way to share your financial aid. And you can say, I don't qualify for FAFSA, or maybe I do qualify, or this or that, and you're able to have that conversation about the next step. We also talked about that there's scholarships for any type of different reason. So use all of those reasons wisely. Use employment, use any type of anyone that's willing to give us funding for higher education. We talked about creative ways to pay for college, taking advantage of the CLEPs and those early experiences in college. So taking early enrollment classes, college and career promise classes, CLEP examinations. We also look into the NC Promise program, which is a great program that can provide that $500 in-state tuition for certain schools. So if you're in the western side of the state, the closest to you is Western Carolina University. If you're close to the coast, you have Elizabeth City State University. If you're in the middle, you have UNC Pembroke, and um, I don't know why I keep missing the other one always.
Fayetteville, did you say Fayetteville?
Fayetteville State University. I'm not, yeah, no, Fayetteville State, the good old Fayetteville State. And so you have different options there. My colleague also mentioned the forgivable education loans for service, which is an opportunity for students going into a certain profession. So maybe you can take a look at that, at those requirements and see what those requirements are. Maybe you do need you need financial aid requirements and kind of how you can accomplish that. So we just encourage you to look at all the different ways. Juan, is there anything that we missed before we conclude the webinar and we move into just answering questions?
I think you've got it all covered. Thank you for that great summary.
All right, so we're going to ask our colleagues to stop the recording so that we can focus on answering those questions. And we